Good day, YouTube. 27th of December 2020. And we're back working on the 88 Club Car golf cart. I was actually fiddling with it a bit this morning. And I actually have the wiring sorted out. I haven't gone into that too much. But a lot of the safeties, there's a double limit switch inside the little control box. Underneath here, and they control, things like they don't want it to start in gear, and a backup alarm, and when you hit the gas pedal and activate those limit switches, that's what activates the starter. But there's two more limit switches in the forward reverse shifter assembly, which I have coming but I don't have yet. So all those wires were simply cut. I had to clean them up a little bit and just kind of sat here. So I had to go through those and figure out which one did what. I pulled a wiring diagram off the internet and was able to go through those fairly easily. So they've kind of all come together. I'm just now waiting for the forward reverse lever to show up in a few more days. And we can button that up and literally get on it, turn on the key, hit the gas pedal, and it'll start and drive. But this is the seat. As you can tell, this was a true barn find. It sat in a barn, and critters have enjoyed the center of the seat, which is a bummer because it was probably reasonable condition because the sides where you sit weren't bad. Anyway, but because they pulled it out of the barn and let it sit, that seat board has taken on quite a warp, and I don't think it's going to work. So I scared up a piece of plywood that I had kicking around, and I'm going to have to pull the cover off this seat. I'm going to try to, believe it or not, I'm going to try to save the foam because the two seating areas are actually good. And I'll piece a section in the center, and then we'll reupholster it with marine vinyl. I think we'll just do the seat in white right now because that's what I have. And I'd be okay to make another one down the road is what I'm saying. So for now, just a white seat, a basic seat. I don't think, the last one I did, if you've watched my other videos, we did a seat on the Cushman golf cart where I made a top and sewed pleats in it, and then we made a boxing to go all the way around. That's one way to do a seat. I think we'll do this seat without pleats so that it's more waterproof, and we'll only box the ends. So we'll make a pattern based on this end of the foam, and then the upholstery will roll all the way down the top, down the side, and around to the back, and we'll sew the boxing on just the ends. That's less seams to leak in case this wants to sit outside a little bit. Okay, so first order of business is I need to give me something to work on, a work surface down here, or I could take this upstairs, but I got there's a lot of garbage on this that I really didn't want to track upstairs. And we'll cut this cover off. I don't really need it for a pattern. I'll make my own pattern. I'll try to get the foam off of the warped board. And on the back side there are gaskets, we call them, or seals. And a piece of insulation. I'm going to try and save all of that and put it back on the new board. I don't know why they put the plywood on in that orientation either. It would tend to warp more that way. Okay, let's get this started. Let's see, I've got this all cut. Hoping to be able to save this heat foam and put it on the other pan, other board. I'm going to get right in front of you from time to time, so you get the idea. I think we're going to be able to save it okay. That's going to take a little while. I'll kind of do that off camera. It'll be about 15 minutes of saving that, but it's savable, right? Okay. I need to verify that seat actually fits, because I'm getting the idea that maybe it didn't come off of this cart. Like the front or the rear body panel, which is in good shape, I don't think it came off of this cart, because I think it's got a spot for the battery charger, which would have come on an electric cart. You know, they were the same body and basic frame and everything. Electric versus gas. So somebody just made one out of two or something. I'm going in there to kind of cut that adhesive here. This is a very dense foam, and on the surfaces where you sit, I think the foam is in good condition, or at least reasonable condition. It's that middle where the critters ate it that is the bad. We can cut that out. Good foam's hard to find, and any foam is real expensive. So anytime it can be reused is a good idea. Yeah. So it's a little damp, so it's going to have to sit out in the sun here for a while. We can make the seat cushion today, but we need the foam to be dry before we put it on. Sorry, this is taking a minute. But we're almost there. Almost. There we go. Alright. Alright. So we got the foam off. I'm going to take some time and pull these rubber gaskets and so forth off camera. I'll get that off of there. Let's make sure this thing actually fits that correctly. Because we can make it any shape we want at this point. I don't want to cut an exact duplicate of the wrong cushion. Alrighty. This had like a hinge on it or something. These don't use hinges. Well, it's a warp so good. Let her sit out in the rain there for a while. It's not exactly perfect. So it's too wide and it's not deep enough. So good call on that. So yeah, I'll adjust the size when we cut out a new one. So it's just a little bit too wide. And it doesn't go back far enough. I know it's a tad crooked, but I could probably live with that. But there's not much lip right there. So it should be another, should be another inch. So yeah, it needs to be another inch. All right, that's cool. All right, let me get the rest of the stuff peeled off this old board, and then we'll start cut out a new one. Well, I've got the old seat pan, the plywood, all evicted all the foam and everything. Got it outside drying in the sun all day. I've got the new shape all drawn out, getting ready to cut the new piece of plywood. And one thing I noticed when I tried that one on, which is a very square seat, is that the hole is not very square. It's actually narrower at the front than at the back. So I have adjusted my lines accordingly. It's about a 1/4 inch on each side narrower. So I got to cut the inside line, cut that one, etc. Oh, by the way, at the beginning of this video, there was a motorcycle sitting right there. Yep, I've sold it. Guy had to have it, and I had to sell it to him. So there we go. It's gone. So I'm just now getting back on this for the day. I am waiting for a couple deals I'm working on, some batteries and another golf cart, an electric one. It's cheaper. I wouldn't be after an electric one because I'm more of a gas engine kind of guy. But I've enjoyed learning and working on this guy. So let's find an electric one and work on that one a little bit. So let me get these cut out, and we're going to get the foam married back onto this new board. Cut that nasty section out, put a piece in, and then figure out what we're going to do for a cover. I'll get back to you. Well, we're upstairs now where the upholstery happens. Couple things. We got the plywood all ready to go. I have rough cut the vinyl, not the boxing, but I have rough cut the top, front, and rear. You can see I've made this a little narrower, so now the foam's a little wider, which is fine. We'll cut it down the middle, take a piece out, slide them in, that'll be great. Right now we need to cut that nasty hole out of it and piece that in. So what we're going to use is the old electric carving knife, and let's get this nastiness out of here. We'll leave everything we can, but garbage can, garbage bag. Alright. Much better. Now then, we're going to have to piece this in with the foam we've got here. And survey says this one might be a little short. We'll have to build it up a little. We're going to cut it a little wide, try to cram it in there a little bit. Okay. This is kind of at an angle, so I'm trying to match that a little bit. What do you think? That's not too bad. Not too bad for starters. Trim a little. Trim a little. Okay. That's not too bad. Oh, you know what? I forgot to narrow this. Let's take this out. Start again. We're just going to narrow this thing. Like cutting a really big cake. Alright, there. Sweet. Alright. Now we get to cut this again. Cut her again. trim a little more off, it's keeping these apart. Right. Okay. This is kind of tapered down too, so not a lot I can do about it. I'll put a couple pieces of kind of filler foam over top, and that'll kind of bridge that gap a little bit. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. All right, I'll bring you back in a bit. All right, we got it all wrapped up in Dacryl, ready to start fitting the top. It's going to come down front and the back. This is front. We're going to have to figure out the sides, or the side boxing here. Cut pretty close, actually. So I want this to come around the corner and have a stitch about right there, so I got to leave myself 1/2 inch of seam allowance. Seems like I have that right there. Might have cut it a little closer than I anticipated I would, but I did it by measuring. Yeah, okay. This corner is always the worst. I never know quite how to deal with that. So that'll be alright. So we're gonna have to figure out the boxing here. I had this piece left over from this cut, so let's do this. Very much an amateur at this. I'm gonna say this is good to go. All I got to do is make sure I got enough to tack on both sides. That came out pretty good. Might have a little much here, and I'll adjust that before we sew this. But let's get this boxing dialed in. And whatever I draw will be plus seam allowance. So allow yourself a 1/2 inch for seam allowance. Come around this corner to about right there. Again, what I draw plus a 1/2 inch. Something like that. Something like that. Okay. Theoretically, one side should be as good as the other. And if I cut this piece in half, that should give me enough to roll underneath and staple. So let's run with that, shall we? I'm not going to measure the seam allowance, but I am going to cut it. You know, I'm just going to eyeball it. It's not a 57 Chevy, it's a golf cart. Alright. I got a 1/2 inch eye there. And this side should be the same as the other, right? Just a mirror image. Alright. Now let's do this side. Where's my mark? Oh, there it is. Can you guys see? I need a line. I can't cut straight with a nickel. So I'm going to draw a straight line to finish this cut. Little drafting squares work pretty good. I'm going to use what you got. Now I got something I can cut. Right. Save these bigger pieces of vinyl for, you know, testing out your sewing machine, etc. So if I flip this like this, it should be the same, right? Does that leave me something to cut? It does. Let me cut this in half. So here's this piece. So if I put this front to front, should be one for each side. Okay. So if I screw one up, I screw them both up, right? Pretty faint. I don't really have the right tool for drawing on fabric. Ballpoint pen? Let's see what. There we go. Now we're cooking. All right. So now we got to kind of measure this and center it and measure it and center it, or lay it up here and center it. Do something to give me a center mark. Right now I'm just going to pull this and make sure I have even amount to bring around and staple. And then this is my other side. I can tell. There we go. So I'm just going to put a line here that tells me to line these up. Okay? That's just by eye, right? Yep. In the seam allowance, I'm going to put I'll put B on the other side. That way we know which one went where. We've got to sew them like that. But this one here, I think it'll be fine. Yeah, it'll be fine. Alright. We're going to flip it around, center up the other side, then we'll sew it together. got heavier plywood on it than it used to have. But we gotta cut this side. That's okay. We'll do that. Using my finger underneath as kind of a gauge. I can run it a little tight, it's alright. Which means I'm trying to mark less than a ½ inch seam allowance here. Less than half so that it stretches on just a little bit. Probably don't want it too tight, but okay. We can still mark the center. Seems I have plenty of tuck and staple on both sides. Okay, and the seam allowance, B. Alright, let me get this cut off and we'll get set up over at the sewing machine. Alright, we're at the machine. What I am not capable of doing is starting at a corner down there and coming around. So I'm going to start here, work my way through this corner, turn it around and go the other way. I'm sure there are people that know how to do that. I'm just not one of them. I know my limits. Alright. Let's stitch. Okay, comes the fun part. You gotta keep the edges lined up. Slow her down, boys. Slow her down. Probably lose the gloves about now. I think I'm done dealing with the dirty stuff. It might give me a little more control. Keep on coming around the corner. We hit the reverse to kind of lock that in there. You don't want it all coming off. Now, we got to turn this boat around and stitch what I couldn't do in this direction. So we got to shove all this through the machine. And start here. Oh boy. Alright, I'm going to do the other side and then we'll try a test fit. Well, there it is, loose fit. It's okay. It's pretty good. So let me get it stapled on. We'll do a few on camera. I know the video is getting a little long, and then we'll finish it up and show you the end result. Should be pretty well centered. Front, back, side to side. So what we're first going to do is just come around and do the centers, and then we'll check it. Centers and then check it. We do that just because if we need to fix something, we didn't put 7,000 staples in it. Make darn sure that it's centered, squared, tight. We got to pull it fairly tight, because we want it to look good. Yep, it's gonna look nice. All right, let me finish this baby, and I'll bring you back. All right, well there she is, all done. What do you say we take it down and set it on the golf cart? Well, what do you think? Looks good, doesn't it? Gotta do the backrest now. That's alright. There's a wrinkle or two in it, but getting better. Every one I do, I get a little better. Just an amateur. Looks good. And my seat pan fits real nice. Gaps are good. I like it. I like it. I like it. And we retain that foam rubber you know, we put this other one in the middle, but you know, you can tell, you can't tell it from the outside that it's been changed on the inside. So I think it's all good. All right, gang, we're gonna call it a wrap. New seat for the golf cart. This thing has come a long ways. Hey, and just we've had this thing what, a week or two. Come a long ways. Can't wait to get the parts. Wednesday, Thursday, something coming all the way from the East Coast. We're getting there. Like I said, I kind of sorted the wiring out, so as soon as I get the parts and put them in, it's going to work like it's supposed to. Shoot, it's coming along. All right, gang, thanks for watching, comment, and subscribe, and hit the thumbs up button on the way out, please. We'll catch you on the next video.